Okay, Charlie is making costumes for a school show. One day he made two cloaks and three dresses. The total amount of material was 9.6 square meters. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Write an equation to illustrate this information. Okay, so when you see this in your head, you should be thinking this is simultaneous equations. Okay, we've got our kind of two things, or x and our y's, if you think on that, equals something. Okay, that's been going through our head. Okay. Now we've also got one mark, so you know it's not going to be that difficult as well. Okay, so when you see something like this, it's quite wordy. Okay, but think simultaneous equations. Okay, I've got two things that equal something. Okay, and here's two things that equal something down there. Okay, so we just keep a sensible 2c plus 3d equals 9.6 rather than x and y's. Okay, so cloaks and dresses. And then we want the same again down here. We want 3 cloaks plus 4 dresses is equal to 13.3. Okay, so there's lots of writing there, but you should just be able to pick out the relevant information, which is this. Okay, and I put that into my equations in very untidy handwriting, but they are there. So that's the first part. That should be the easiest part. No one should really struggle with that. And the next bit is the actual simultaneous equations. Okay, so first of all, I would always just write, let's call it equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, so the first equation is 2c plus 3d is equal to 9.6, and 3c plus 4d is equal to 13.3. Okay, so we're looking for the C and D that applies to both these equations. Now, actually, we need simultaneous equations, and this was in the last paper that I just did. There was a nice drawing of two lines. I can't remember how it went. It was something maybe like this and this, and it said calculate the point P where these two lines meet. They gave you the equations, like 5x plus 3y equals 10 and things like that. And that's really what you're doing when you're doing simultaneous equations and you're solving like this. You're working at the intersection point. You're working at the point where they both share a common x and y, okay? Because there'll be lots of values of c and d that work for each of these equations individually. There's only one combination that will work for both of them together. Okay, let me just pause that. My computer is going funny again. Back. Okay, so what we're doing with simultaneous equations is we're trying to make, in this case, one of the c's or one of the d's the same. It could be any variable. But the point is we want to make this number the same as this number, or this number the same as this number. Okay, so what you're doing is you're looking for a common factor. Okay, that's the word we'd use. The easiest way to do it is just to multiply by the opposite coefficient. Okay, so what I mean by that is equation 1, I'd multiply by 3, and equation 2, I'd multiply by 2. Okay, so I'd multiply each of these equations by those coefficients. Okay, so there's the 3, yeah, and there's the 2. Okay, I was going to rid of that because it's messy, but that's where they come from. And by doing that, I'm going to end up with 6c, aren't I? And then I'm able to take away the equations from each other and get 0c, and then solve for b. Okay, so that's the easiest way of doing it. I could have done the exact same process for the d's. So I would have multiplied this equation by 4 and this equation by 3. That would have given me 12d on top and bottom, and I'd take them away from each other. So you can do that. You can also just spot common factors. Okay, so that's the easiest way that you don't have to think about that. But you could try and spot a common factor. So in this case, 3 and 2 is about as low as it goes. But other times there are shortcuts. So for example, yeah, if this equation had 1c in it, I'd just say, well, I'm going to times this equation by 3, because by doing that, I'm going to get 3c. Okay, I don't have to, times this by 3 and times this by 1, or okay, so you can just sometimes factor up one of the equations if you want. Okay, in the same way, if this was 2d, I might just say, well, I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 2, and that's going to give me 4d, rather than doing, 2d times 4 and 4d times 2 to get 8d. Okay, it'd just be easier to times this by 2. But the fail-safe method is, like I said, just multiply the equations by the opposite coefficient. Okay, so I think we'll just stick with the small numbers to make life easy for ourselves, and we'll do 2 and 3. Okay, so I'm going to times this by 3, and I'm going to times this by 2. Okay, so I've got my new equation 1, my new equation 2. Okay, so I know the common factor is 6c. So that's 2 times 3, 3 times 2. But the rest of that equation there is going to be 3 times 3, so that's going to be 9d. And then 3 times 9.6. Now, this is a good opportunity just to practice multiplying decimals, actually. So, if we do 96 times 3, so 3 times 6 is 18. 3 nines are 27, plus the 1 is 28. 288 would be if there was no decimal point. Now, this question has got one decimal place in it. So the answer is going to have one decimal place in it. Okay. If this question was multiplied by 0.3, we do the exact same equation here, except we have 2 decimal places in the answer because there's 2 decimal places in the question. Okay, but there's not. Okay. I'm just showing you what if. So 28.8 is your answer there. 28.8. And for this one, so 4 times 2, so our new equation 2, that's plus 8e. And 13 times 2, now again, this is as easy as it's 26.6, but let's just go through the process. So 133 times 2, 2 threes are 6, 2 threes are 6, 2 ones are 2. And this question has got one decimal place, so it's going to be 26.6. So again, you can obviously just see that by looking, that's an easier one. But just to practice, okay, it's good at this point just to keep those skills sharp. I need that space later on. So there we go. We've got our two new equations because we factored them. And now what we're going to do is take one away from the other. Okay, so it doesn't really matter about signs until this point. Okay, I could times that by -3 or whatever, or -2, it doesn't matter. This is when you get rid of them. So if I ended up with a -6c here, I would just add them together. Okay, so I add both the equations, add this, add this, add this. But because they're negative, I'm going to take them away. Now, just so we don't have too many negatives, I'm going to do 1 take away 2. You could still do 2 take away 1, we'll give you the same answer. But I'll just think 1 take away 2 is going to be nicer. Okay, so I do 1 take away 2. Well, 6c take away 6c, 0. Okay, so I'm not going to write anything. I'm going to leave it. 9d take away 8d gives me d. And then 28.8 take away 26.6 is going to give me 2.2. Okay. Now, how do I work out C? I could go through the exact same process all over again, but it's much faster if I just say, well, I know that 2c plus 3d is equal to 9.6 because that's one of our equations. So let's just substitute in for d. Okay, so let's say 2c plus 3 times 2.2 is equal to 9.6. So I'm just using the d that we just found out. Okay, so I've just multiplied out the bracket. Now I want to rearrange for c. All right. So different ways to rearrange. I'm going to do the working line method just now. So I want to move 6.6 over a different pen color. I love using different pen colors. Sorry if it's a bit confusing. I kind of meant to go back to blue, but sorry. So I want to move 6.6 over the way. Okay. Now on the left hand side here, it's plus. So I need to do the opposite. So I'm going to take away 6.6. Okay. So 2c is equal to 9.6. Take away 6.6. I'll just write the answer. So 9.6 take away 6.6 is going to give me 3. Now let's move the 2 over. Okay, how do I move the 2 over to this side of the equation? Well, on the left hand side I'm doing 2 times, so to undo that I'm going to do divide by 2. Okay, times by 2, divide by 2, doing the opposite. So c is equal to 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5, just to keep it in the same, to keep it decimalised the same as that one. Okay, now a lot of folk would just say, boom, that's me, I'm finished. Aren't I amazing? You're not quite finished, okay? You need to put it into English. You need to say, well, what have I actually just done? Well, I'm saying that the cloaks have used 1.5 meters squared of fabric, and the cloaks and dresses, I would say cloaks and daggers, but the dresses are using 2.2 meters squared, okay? And that's your final answer, okay? So let's have a look at the marking scheme. What have we got? once we head to that. So obviously the top two questions, not much you can do there. You're right or you're wrong. And really be careful here because it's annoying for the marker. If you get these wrong and work through correctly, you still get marks, okay? However, this question's set up to give you a nice number at the end, okay? If you get this wrong, you're going to be fighting a painful battle, okay? And you're going to make the marker really work to work out if you've got it right or not, okay? So just annoy them. So do your best to get this right. So if there's a mistake, it's one. Carrying mistakes through is a bit of pain, okay? So keep your marker happy, okay? Keep them generous, keep them on side. So evidence of scaling is your first bit. So I would say that's our first mark in here. Okay, evidence of scaling. And then a valid strategy for C and D. So you're just getting a mark for working out C. Let's say a mark for working out D, and then a mark for working out C. It's kind of like it's more or less like that. And then the final mark for communicating it. That's what the marking scheme looks like. Again, I'm not actually a marker, so I'm not amazing at reading these. They can be a wee bit intuitive, and I'm a bit of a rookie. But yeah, that seems to be what you're getting your points for. Again, when I go through these marks, it is kind of rough. It's just to give you an idea. But yeah, evidence of the scaling, 1 mark. Follow a valid strategy through to produce values for C and D, and then the correct values for C and D. So maybe actually, if you got incorrect answers but you'd valid yeah. So if we worked out the wrong numbers but had valid strategies, we'd get 1 mark. But we got valid strategies and the correct answers. So that's 2 marks, and then the communication at the end. Not enough time for 5. I'll have to upload this separately.